guys, welcome to Livingseeds Farm. This is our first virtual live tour of Livingseeds Farm, and it's going to be interesting. I know a lot of you guys are stuck in lockdown. Some of you guys have got small gardens, some of you guys are living in townhouses and even flats. And I know it's a struggle, guys. We're blessed. We live on a farm. We're able to walk around. And yeah, so enjoy the tour of Livingseeds Farm. So everybody knows who I am, you know, Sean from Livingseeds, and I'm the face of Livingseeds, but that's not really true, because this is my wife Nicola, and she's the reason why Livingseeds is so successful. Whenever you see me writing a newsletter or you see something that I've written it, she's polished it. So Nicola's an incredibly important portion of what happens behind the scenes on Livingseeds Farm. And she'll be my able camera person. She's a bit nervous this morning, so
we hope.
yeah, she hopes that she's able, but she's run the gimbal before, so it should work fine. Okay, cool. I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
We're just really excited to be doing this, and we hope that you enjoy every second.
Cool, yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, guys, so what's going to happen today is we are going to run through Livingseeds Farm, what happens behind the scenes. It's not pretty. We are a seed farm. We don't grow vegetables, we actually grow seed. There's a whole different process to growing seed than there is to growing vegetables. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through and show you what we're doing. We're right at the end of our seed harvest season. I think the only thing that we've got left to harvest are our chili seeds and our pepper seeds. Otherwise, I think everything else has been harvested. Oh, and then we've got country gentleman corn over here that we're waiting, and we're hoping that we're not going to get an early frost, so that we'll get the country gentleman corn seed harvested before the worst of the frost. So Livingseeds Farm runs on solar power, not the whole farm. The office still runs on Eskom, unfortunately, but if you have a look over here to my
your left.
Yeah, my left. Sorry,
right.
I'm trying to work this out over here. That is our solar array. It's a 1.1 kilowatt solar array that drives a solar borehole pump. The solar borehole pump pumps to a series of 4 tanks. We've got about 24,000 liters of storage, and those tanks will water most of this side of the farm. There's 2 sides to the farm. There's the old farm, which is where we're standing now. This is the original property that we bought, and then we have the new farm, which is actually 2 farms that adjoin each other, and unfortunately that still runs on an Eskom borehole. But we've been running on solar power now for I think about 7 years on our borehole pumps. At least 7 years, maybe even 8 years now. And the only hassles we've had with our solar power was, I think 2 weeks after we installed them, they stole all the solar panels off that stand, and that stand is 6 meters high. We've now put grease on the poles, and there's barbed wire and all of those beautiful things. But yeah, so what you're looking at over here, these sunflowers, these are absolutely stunning sunflowers. And the sunflowers, this is a new variety called burnt umber, and if you look at some of the flowers, it's got that beautiful dark burnt umber look to it, or at least color to it, which is really cool. Behind the sunflowers, and I don't know if you can see it, we have tried to zoom, and I don't think we are able to zoom, okay, but I will put my finger and I'll try and show you. If you look behind these trees over here, there's a couple of white nets. Well, it's not a couple, there's about there's a couple of 100 meters of white anti-pollination net. We're not going to go down there because the grass is a bit long getting there, but that is the peppers that we're harvesting, and those peppers are are enclosed in anti-pollination nets. I'll show you some net a little bit later, but those are anti-pollination nets to prevent the peppers from cross-pollinating, and it's one of the reasons why Living Seeds has such a great purity on our pepper seeds, is that every single plant is encapsulated in anti-pollination netting. So what we're going to do is, you're not going to be looking at me the whole time. I'll be standing next to Nicola and explaining what you're seeing. So what you're seeing over here is Country Gentleman corn. This Country Gentleman corn has been it's been pollinated. We're now just waiting for the cobs to dry off nicely. We've got another four weeks to go until we can see a maturity line in the seed. And once we see the maturity line in the seed, we're actually able to harvest it, which is really cool. Okay, so these tunnels that you'll be looking at now, these tunnels, we actually make the tunnels ourselves. Those of you that have been to a tunnel workshop on Livingseeds Farm know how to make these tunnels. It's very easy to make. This is the original tunnel design that we have. And this tunnel design, we actually used 6 meter length of steel pipe. We added on an extra meter to make the pipe length 7 meters long. And it then gets bent around a trampoline frame. And there's a YouTube video on YouTube under the channel called Livingseeds Farm. And that channel shows you how to bend your own tunnel frames. I've just come back here quickly. I don't know if we can see. Can you see that kite at the bottom over there? Okay, so if you have a look, there's actually a kite on a pole. So if you look where my finger is over there, you'll see that there's a kite. There's not really that much wind, but you'll see it move. And what that kite is one of our anti-bird scaring devices. So it's a kite there, it goes up. So it's one of those eagle kites, and we buy a box of about 50 eagle kites, and we go through a good couple a year. And that kite is on a 6 meter pole. There's a bearing on top of the pole, and that allows the arm to swing around that holds the actual kite. And what I'll do is I'll actually take a series of photographs and just show you guys how we do it. But basically what that kite does is, it looks like a bird, or it looks like a bird of prey. And we have a number of these kites. They're effective for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then the birds get used to them. And where that kite is now, we harvested Nigerian oilseed sunflower. I don't know if you remember, I did a couple of live videos about a month and a half, 2 months back on the Nigerian oilseed, and that is where the kite was, and we used that kite to help scare the birds away from eating the Nigerian oilseed. Okay, so moving back,
well, this was our first tunnel that we put up.
Yeah, this is the very first tunnel that we put up many years ago.
Yeah.
So the frames are still going, which is cool.
Here's Cherokee. Can't get you close.
We'll just take a step back. Yeah, that's Cherokee. It's, our second eldest daughter's horse. She helped to foal Cherokee, and Cherokee is just an eating machine.
Well, she poops a lot too.
Yes, she does poop a lot too. Cool. So walking up, all of these tunnels over here, we've got of these hoop tunnels, we've got about 8 of the tunnels on this side of the farm. 1, 2, yeah, there's 8 tunnels over here. And you'll see that some of the tunnels have got netting closing the tunnels. And what we do is, so for example, these tunnels over here, we normally grow tomatoes in this tunnel. But if we grow things like cucumbers or whatever, the cucumbers are planted inside the tunnels, and then the tunnels are closed off. And then what we have is our staff go into the tunnels every single morning, and they will hand pollinate, normally quite early in the morning because it heats up quite quickly inside the tunnels. And they'll hand pollinate all of the cucumber seed, the watermelon seed that grows inside these tunnels. Over winter, nothing really happens inside the tunnels. You'll see that the tunnels are basically done. There's nothing, there's just the remains of plants that are growing inside there. You'll see that there's strings. We use those strings to actually tie up the plants inside the tunnels. And what we do over winter is some of the tunnels get used for vegetable production. So what we've done in this tunnel over here is we've planted a whole lot of Swiss chard. And this Swiss chard, it's ready for its first harvest now. And the field staff that we do have on the farm currently will be using this Swiss chard to supplement their food over this lockdown period. If you look at the back behind that tunnel, there's sorghum that it's just standing now. That the sorghum is busy drying out, and what we'll do is we'll put that sorghum through the shredder and feed the sorghum to our cattle. And it's got a very high sugar content, and the minute you feed sorghum to cattle, they're actually like ADHD children bouncing off the walls. And it's a really cool thing to watch. Cool. So going further up, this large tunnel over here, we use for seedling production, and we will produce seedlings for Livingseeds Farm as well as seedlings for sale. Unfortunately, we're not selling seedlings at the moment. Because of lockdown, we can't guarantee a live delivery, which is a problem. There's not much that's going on inside there. I think there's a couple of brassicas, and we'll be planting those brassicas out into our show garden, and it'll be for our consumption, our neighbors, staff, etc. over the lockdown period. So this is the office. We're going into the office. This is the heart of where everything happens as far as our customers are concerned. And we have literally run out of space inside the office. So going into the office over here, we'll just pan left and right.
Well, it's a bit of a mess, but you know, we're working hard.
There we go. And for those of you that want to know what Eloise looks like, say hello, Eloise. Take your mask off so they can see what you look like. Hello. So that's Eloise. She is, she's my boss. She makes me do all the hard work and all of those wonderful things, apparently. Cool. So, yeah, so you can see we're a little bit busy over here. This is the packing room. In the packing room we have Jenna and Leah. So that's Leah. That's Lisa. So if you send an email, Lisa answers your emails for you. And this is Jenna. Jenna and Leah are twins. They are our two youngest children, and they are absolute stars. Inside our packing room, if you have a look up here, these are all the seed packets that we have. So these are all the empty seed packets. Whoops. These are all the empty seed packets. And then what you saw outside was Daniel and Robin, and they were packing empty seed packets. So this is where all the orders get packed. So fortunately it's calmed down a lot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you into our small seed room. We have two cool rooms on the farm. This is the small one where we have all of the day-to-day stock that we use. And then what we'll do is we have a much larger seed room. It's about 15-20 times the size of this one, where we store all of our bulk seeds. So we're going to go into our seed room quickly. Cool, so this is the seed room, and if you This is all of the bulk seed that we have. And you'll see there's just tubs and tubs and tubs of bulk seed, and on the shelf as well above here we have all of the bulk seed. So if you have a look, we'll have winter time, we'll have the lot number, we know what size scoop that we have. I'll show you the scoops now, what size scoop we have for a normal packet and what size scoop we have for a petite packet. So a normal packet, we use a scoop called a smidgen, and that's about 450 seeds. A petite pack, we use a scoop that's called a drop, and that's about 150 seeds. And every single container will tell you exactly what size scoop we use so that it is consistent. All of our seed is packed in drawers. So a lot of people ask us, why can't they come and choose the seeds at Livingseeds Farm? Okay.
Hang on, let me just get into position here.
Is it not working? Okay, let me go
There
for
we
a lower one.
There's pumpkin and melons.
Okay, cool. This one. Okay. So if you look inside the drawer, so we're just trying to get this camera working out. So if you look inside the drawer, this is how our seed is packed. Okay, so this is the pumpkin, melons, and cucumber drawer. And what you'll have, I just want to get past this side over here, is we will have a drawer with, this is ugly duckling, this is the normal size packet, that's ugly duckling, the petite size packet, and it's not a shelf that you can actually walk up to and choose what you want. You need to know where everything is, unfortunately, which is a bit of a problem. So we've got drawers this side, and Nicola will walk around. All of the seed tubs is bulk seed. The different lid colors mean different things, and there's more seed on top, so you can see. So all the way around this room there's actually bulk seed, and then there's drawers as well,
And harvests.
There we go, cool. And that is our microgreens shelves, and you can see the microgreen shelves are pretty empty.
I'll just go backwards. That's too close.
Yeah, there
I
we
can't
go.
change the focus.
Unfortunately, we can't zoom, yeah. So there we go. So that's our microgreen shelves. The microgreen shelves are pretty dismal at the moment. You guys have been ordering microgreens and sprouting seed, which is, it's a good thing. And we will work on getting that sorted out. Cool. So let's take you to the our board. So if you have a look at this board over here, this board has all of the spoons that we use when we are working out how much seed goes into a packet. So this tiny, can you see it? Mm-hmm. This tiny little spoon is called a drop, and you'll see it's written on there, it's called a drop, and you can see that's the tip of my finger. So we have a drop, which is the smallest scoop size we have, and then we have 3 smaller ones. Yeah, so there we go, drop slowly. There we go. So those are all of the scoop sizes that we use, so we can try and keep your seed quantities correct. Cool. Okay guys, so let's go back onto the farm. How's it going with the Kimmel?
Getting there.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to do now is we are going to run down to the bottom end of the farm, and I will show you a couple of different aspects of the farm. So what you're looking at right now is the show garden. That's the Livingseeds show garden. Those of you that have been to our show garden will recognize the garden. The cool thing about the show garden is that we will generally plant every single variety that we sell in the show garden.
Here's Robert. I'm sure most of you know Robert. Oops.
Okay, so that's Robert. Robert is our resident plant pathologist, and he is in charge of seed production. Well, he's basically the farm manager. He makes sure everything works on Livingseeds Farm.
It's your other boss.
It's my other later, and show you different aspects of the show garden, and see what's growing. We're going to walk now. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down the farm, and I'll show you. We have another. I think it's another 14 tunnels down here. It's 14 or 15 tunnels down here. I'm not 100% sure. And this is the new farm. These are two farms that we bought a couple of years back. Our neighbor, who was a very good friend of ours, died, and we were fortunate to be able to buy both of these farms from his estate. So what we've done is, he actually was a pilot. He was a microlight pilot, and he had two big hangars on the farm, and this farm had two runways on it. And I like to say to people that I bought an airport because it sounds cool, you know, when I bought an airport, but it was a dirt microlight strip. And basically what we've done is we've turned the airport into an extension of Livingseeds Farm. On this section of the farm, we grow most of our bulk crops. So if you have a look at these tunnels over here, these top tunnels are mainly used for cucurbit production. So we will produce melons, cucumbers, there are some tomatoes inside here. Anything that's new that we are busy working on, we've brought seed in, we need to increase, or we've done some trial selections on the varieties. This is where most of that work gets done. And there's still two tunnels that are closed. We are just waiting for the actual netting can come off, because all of the pollination is done. We haven't done hand pollination inside here for I reckon over 2 months now. So it's just a case of we're waiting for the crops to ripen so that we can harvest the varieties that are inside those tunnels. It doesn't look pretty inside the tunnels. It's not for vegetable production. This is literally purely for seed production. And I'll see if we can go inside there and have a look just now. Okay, so we're going down, and you'll see we've got two different kinds of tunnels. We've got a plastic covered tunnel, and then we have a green mesh covered tunnel. So what happened is there is a carrot virus that surprisingly or unsurprisingly comes out of China. And this carrot virus has destroyed our ability to import untreated celery, untreated carrot, and untreated parsley seed. The virus infects those three crops and any similar crops, so like celeriac and things like that. So, and as you know, Livingseeds is an organic company. We will not supply or actually produce or use any treated seed at all. So what we do, or what we've done, is we've built these tunnels specifically for carrot production. So if you have a look over here, we've got a series of tunnels. There are 8 tunnels over here. Of those 8 of these 8 green tunnels, one of them we use for our super hot chili production. Okay, and the balance are used for carrot seed production. And the way we do it is quite cool. And I'll show you what we do now. So it's really smart the way that we do this, because we're able to produce multiple varieties of seed inside this tunnel. And the way that we do it is by smart planting. So there's an electrical wire here. I'm just gonna, sorry, that wire prevents our cattle going into the fields and the garden. So if we go to this tunnel over here, Let me show you what we do inside this tunnel. Cool. So, inside this tunnel, if you have a look over here, we've got a radish variety. You got it there?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a radish variety. We've got a carrot variety in the center. There's 3 lines of carrots down the center over here. And we have a parsley variety on the left-hand side over here. And then right at the back, we've got a celery variety. So there's radish, there's carrot, there's parsley and celery. Now, none of these crops over here will cross-pollinate. The parsley won't cross-pollinate with the celery. The radish won't cross-pollinate with any of them. And so what we've done is we have this tunnel that we will be closing off. So to get the seed of radish and the seed of carrots and parsley, the plant needs to go through a process called vernalization, which is like a winter dormancy. So the plant actually needs to have a dormant period over winter. And what that does is in spring, when it warms up, it stimulates the plant to actually push up a flower spike, and you will then harvest seed. So if you have a look over here, and this is something that we'll be looking at, let's just focus in on this radish variety, on this radish plant over here. So if you have a look at this radish plant is busy throwing up a flower spike, okay? And that is not what we want, okay? We only want radish plants to put up a flower spike in spring. Okay, so what we will do is we will actually go out and we will pick this radish variety and drop it on the floor, because we don't want the genes of that radish variety in our seed population. We want to have a slow bolting radish plant, and you can see this radish plant over here, there's no root to it. Okay, there literally is no root to it, but it's flowering already. Okay, and that is not the genetics you want in the seed that you're supplying. So what we'll do is we'll go through every single radish plant over here. If it starts to flower, we'll pull the radish plant out, because we don't want those genes in our seed. The exact same thing goes with the carrots. I can't see any carrots just at a quick glance. I can't see any carrots that are starting to flower. But it's very important that if you are growing seed, that you know what seed you want to harvest, because if you harvest seed that bolts too early, like this over here, it reduces the variety to an early bolting variety. So you need to know what you're doing specifically with that. So this is rat's tail radish. We've got cosmic purple. A carrot over here. There is giant Pascal celery, and I don't know what that parsley is at the back over there. It looks like plain parsley, but at least you know that you're going to be receiving high quality seed from Living Seeds. And the thing with producing carrot seeds is it's nowhere near as easy as a lot of people think, because it takes an entire season. These carrots were planted in February. They're looking great, but we will only harvest the seed in December, January. So it takes almost a full year to produce the carrot seed, and the carrot seed has to go through a vernalization period. So the cool thing is what we have 7 tunnels of different carrot varieties. So those of you that are asking where are our multicolored carrots, we're busy growing them, guys. It's going to take a while. Cool. And you can see there's a lot of mulch in all of the tunnels. We mulch the tunnels. We spend a lot of money on different kinds of mulching. So this is mulched with straw. We'll mulch with mushroom compost. I'll show you the mushroom compost just now as well. But the mulching is important, and you'll know if you're a Living Seeds newsletter subscriber that we bang on about mulching almost all the time, ad nauseum. And guys, it's just so important to be mulching. So as we go down, you'll see this is solar yellow carrot, also looking great. We've got peppermint stick celery seed, or at least celery growing inside there. There's a parsley at the end, and that radish variety is a red stemmed radish variety called Pusa Jumani. And we can go down with carrot variety and radish variety. You'll see some of the varieties like this one over here. This is not a well filled out tunnel variety, but it's a new carrot that we're working with, so it's going to take a couple of years before we can release this carrot variety. Okay, so this tunnel over here, so I'll show you. We use netting like this, and this is our locking mechanism to keep the tunnel closed and to prevent insects getting into the tunnel. We're basically done with the season. So if you come inside here and have a look, so we are basically done with the season, the hot pepper season. I think we potentially have another harvest if we're lucky left. A lot of the plants are looking a bit tired. This is a variety over here. This variety over here is called Malawi Gambuzi. It's a habanero type from Malawi. There's a whole lot of very cool things that we're growing inside here. There's new stuff that we've been working on for a couple of years. But you'll see that each one of these, I don't know if you can get down here now. Okay, so each one of these plants is actually in a bucket.
So
There we go.
it's a bit slower than
Okay, so
it's too close.
okay, you there?
Yeah?
Okay, so each one of these plants is in a bucket. So what happens is we will take this bucket and we'll move this bucket indoors over winter, so that next season we're actually able to use the exact same plant for seed production. This little bag on the side over here, this little bag was it was mites that we release. So we release mites basically on almost every set of plants, and what the mites do is the mites will eat thrips, which is a major cross-pollination issue in peppers. The thrips are very, very tiny little insects. They're literally a millimeter or two long, and they're about a quarter of a millimeter wide. It's a long, thin insect. It flies. It feeds off the young fruit. It damages the young fruit, and what it does is as it flies between plants. So if it flies from this plant to this plant over here, and the plants are pollination compatible, it'll actually cross the plants. Not all peppers are pollination compatible. There are certain peppers that are quite difficult to pollinate or to cross-pollinate from species. There's multiple species of peppers. So very often we hear of people saying that they planted habaneros next to sweet peppers, and the sweet peppers got hot, and it's a case of it's highly unlikely, let's put it that way. It doesn't always work like that. Cool. So yeah, so we've harvested a couple of times out of this tunnel. You can see that the plants are starting to look like they need a feed. We're not going to feed them again. We're now going to start pulling the plants back so they can go into a winter dormancy. We don't want to force the plants because we want to use these plants for a good number of years. So if you're not forcing the plants don't go into stress, and they'll last a lot longer. So they'll get a light feeding just before they go indoors, and they will be they'll be pruned and trimmed back just to make movement a lot easier. Otherwise, if you're moving the plants and they've got large branches that get snapped very easily. You don't really want that to happen over winter. Yeah, we can go out. Okay, so if there are questions, guys, please type up your questions. We are going to be sitting down in about 10-15 minutes, and I will answer your questions, or as many of the questions as I can for you. Okay, so the fields that you're looking at now, these are our main production fields. We've got 16 blocks. Each block is about it's about 45 by 40 meters per block. Every block is run on drip irrigation. It has its own tap to turn on and turn off. You can see it's taken over by weeds, but you'll also see that every single block has a row of flowers, and it's critically important for us to attract pollinators and predatory insects into our field. So what happens is these flowers attract a whole variety of pollinators. They also attract a whole variety of predatory insects, and every single block has a line of flowers in them. So the pollinators are there to actually pollinate, which is important. The predatory insects are there to help us fight the good organic fight on our farm. Okay, so where we're going to go now, I wanted to show you the other pollination netting. So I think let's just go to this ball pump over here. Okay, cool. So I'm not going to walk in front so that you see the back of my head the whole time. I don't think anybody wants to see the back of my head. So if we just walk through here. So the pollination netting that we use a very specific pollination netting. When we started Living Seeds, we were broke, we didn't have money, and I took all of my wife's net curtains down off her windows, and I promised her that I would replace them for her, and we never did.
No, well, we actually decided that we prefer the open view.
Yes. Okay, so if you have a look here, this is the netting that we use, and it's a very high grade plastic netting. I don't know if you can see over here. This is a very high grade plastic netting that we use. It's sealed on the edge over here, and this netting, we've got some of this netting, you'll see it's yellow. This one over here is yellow, and I think this netting must be about 6 or 7 years old, and it gets used every single year. We originally did try a black one. We didn't have much success with the black one, but this white netting over here, we must have close to 1 kilometer of this white netting that we will use when we need to keep certain varieties pure. So like peppers, for example, peppers get covered in this netting. We'll cover beans in the netting, not normal bush beans, but we'll cover things like broad beans that get pollinated by bumblebees or carpenter bees, put it that way. And then we do a lot of reeds. We have a lot of reeds over here on Livingseeds Farm, specifically for training up pole beans and runner beans. Cool. So we're going to go to the garlic fields quickly, and we'll show you where we plant next season's garlic. Which way do you want to go?
I'm following you from behind, in front.
Cool. Okay, so
however it works out.
Yeah. So we've planted our garlic blocks out. A lot of the garlic is coming up. We've put down the mulching on the beds of the garlic. And they've been fertilized. It's just basically a case of now the final mulch that's going on will be the mushroom compost on top of the beds, but we've put the mulch down on the walkways, and we'll show you how that works now. And what we do is every single year we run a couple of experiments with our garlic. We're learning every single year about the garlic. We're learning different methods, and we try something new every single year just to see if maybe we just stumble on something that's new and innovative. So if you have a look over here, you'll see that on this bed over here, let me just get in front. Okay, so you'll see what we've done over here is this mulch over here is those bamboo reeds that I showed you earlier. This is the bamboo reeds that we've put through a shredder, and it's made a beautiful thick high carbon mulch that we've put down. This is the garlic over here. I don't know what variety this is. I need to read the label, but you can see this is the garlic. This is the drip irrigation that we have. Here's the fertilizer that we've put down on the garlic. And what they're going to be doing now, or what the staff are doing now, is they're putting down a thick layer of mushroom compost on top of this. And what that mushroom compost will do is it'll keep the moisture in the soil and allow the garlic to remain cool, especially when it warms up in winter. So if you have a look over here, this is the shredded reeds. Over there we've got whole reeds that we've just laid down on the beds, and then further you'll see that we have normal straw. So we bring in bales and bales of straw, okay, and that straw gets laid down, and basically what happens is you can see that the straw over here, see the kivets are complaining, you'll see that the straw has started to germinate, okay, and there's two ways that you can actually sort this out. You can actually go through and pick it by hand and take each one out, or what we do is we just take this and turn it over, and you can see it's wet over here. So instead of just weeding it, we just take this and turn it over, okay, and what happens is anything that germinates just dies. It's as simple as that. So we have staff that are busy doing the flipping of the straw, and we have other staff that are laying down mushroom compost. So let's go and have a chat to some of the guys over there quickly. Okay, and if you have a look over here, there's 8 blocks of garlic over here. Each block has got 2 varieties in it that we plant, and you'll see some of the garlic is growing. You can see it's nice and green. Other garlic is only starting to come out now. Each garlic variety has a different growing period, different growing requirements, etc. So if you've received one of your multi-packs of garlic and some of the garlic is coming up and some of the garlic isn't coming up, don't worry, it'll get there. Cool. Sanford and William. We've had our staff move onto the property for the lockdown period, so that they don't need to be traveling back and forth and potentially getting sick. So what they're doing over here is, this is mushroom compost, and the mushroom compost is being put down onto the garlic beds. And you'll see that the drip irrigation is underneath the mushroom compost, and it's a nice thick layer of mushroom compost. It's at least, by the looks of it over here, we're looking at a good 7 centimeters of mushroom compost, and that'll break down. It'll get a second load. So this mushroom compost will actually break down over winter, and then in spring we'll do a second layer of mushroom compost on top of the garlic again. So It's that important, guys. It really is that important. So there we go. Cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back up to the show garden. I'll take you through the show garden quickly, and we can show you. You can see the whole of Livingseeds Farm runs on drip irrigation, and it literally is the cheapest way to actually water all of your plants. Cool. So we're going to take a quick walk up.
So I'm trying very hard to hold the camera steady and watch that I'm not stepping on the garlic. So if anybody's feeling a little seasick, I apologize.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you have a look over here, I'd love to see if you can zoom in on this tap over here. Are you at the tap?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we have taps like this at every single field, and all we do is we open the tap. So there's one tap over here, and this tap is for the far field up at the top, and this tap over here is for the field, for this field over here. So if we need to water something, we just open a tap or close a tap as it goes. There's no need to lay out sprinklers. And all you need to do is put an alarm on your phone to make sure that you don't forget the water. Otherwise, you literally run out of water.
We've never done that, hey?
No, we've never run out of water.
We've never been that wasteful.
Cool. Okay, so guys, we're going for a walk back up to the show garden now. The buildings that you can see in front of you are the hangers. Yeah, on the left of your screen, there's two hangers over there. The small hanger is our workshop where we fix things and store our equipment. And the larger hanger, which you can't really see, is behind that. That larger hanger is going to, it's going to be the new shop that we've been promising that we're going to be getting up, I think for over a year now. We need to get our backsides in gear on that. And then we've got our cool room inside there, and then it's just seed drying racks inside the big hanger. Cool. So, any questions that you guys have, and you can be asking about seed production, how we do things. I'm happy to tell you what you want to garden. It's entirely up to you what questions you want to ask. We'll get to them now. We're just going to go out to the show garden, do a quick run around the show garden, and show you what's happening in the show garden. It's looking quite nice now. The show garden goes through phases, so every single month there's something new happening in the show garden, and the end of summer and the beginning of autumn we had about a 4-week lag on the show garden, where the show garden looked pretty dismal. But then as a vegetable gardener, you know that your garden goes through phases where it looks stunning and then it looks dismal. We're quite happy with the way the show garden is looking. The idea behind the show garden is for customers to come and taste vegetables, to literally pick a vegetable and taste it. And you can walk through the show garden and you can taste all of the different vegetables, see how they grow. We've got different gardening methods. A lot of the gardening methods we don't use. Okay, so this is our beehives. Are they in? Yes. So these are our beehives. You'll see that the beehive on the left hand side is a normal Langstroth beehive. The beehive on the right, that's a Langstroth, and the beehive on the right is a Jackson's top bar hive. It uses standard beehive frames. And the black dog in the background is Tessa. If you're a visitor on Livingseeds Farm, you know who Tessa is, because she tries to lick you to death.
She just enjoys love.
Yes, she does enjoy love. I think Tessa believes that every single person that comes to Livingseeds Farm is there to visit her. So she gets very excited about it. Let's go in here. Cool, so the show garden has different aspects. And what we like to call it is it has different rooms, and we'll go into the different rooms now and show you what's happening. So what you're looking at right now is our raised bed room, and there's a whole variety of different raised beds. We've got a raised bed with a wire hoop over it to show people how they can protect their crops from birds or monkeys. And then if you look over here, that beautiful green stripe that goes down there, in summer we normally have we have pumpkins and squash growing in there. At the moment we've got a whole lot of brassicas growing, a whole variety of brassicas, and then some root crops in between. So if you have a look over here, these are turnips. Okay, so these are turnips over here. Sorry, these are turnips over here. These are mixed brassicas. This is Mishihili cabbage, and you can see the Mishihili cabbage has already gone to bolt because they were planted too early. They need a bit more cold. These are carrots planted over here, and then there are a whole variety of mixed brassicas down this side. And basically what we did was, when they announced lockdown, I just said to my staff, just plant. Plant whatever you can, because there's going to be a period where, especially coming out of lockdown, money's going to be scarce, food is going to be scarce, and if we can feed our staff from our show garden, it's a real winner. This garden over here, this is, or it was, a bean show garden. What we've done now is we've planted a whole lot of spinach. That shrub in the background over there is a pigeon pea. If you look, there's a dead plant over here. So this plant over here, I don't know if you can see my hand. This plant over here was peanuts. That is now come to the end of its life. And then we've got a variety of brassicas down the left hand side over here. And if you have a look, this is our pepper garden. So what we've done is we've planted a whole lot of peppers, a whole lot of different peppers, just for people to come and have a look at and come and taste. Tess, get out. Jeez, get out the garden.
In between dogs and cats, there's Adelaine and Alentia.
So we've got the cats in the show garden, we've got the dogs in the show garden. Clearly it's a farm. I don't know if Jane Griffiths is watching, but if you have a look, that's Alentia on the ground, and there's Aslan coming through over there. Aslan's coming through having a look at Alentia. The cats are doing exceptionally well, Jane. Alentia, who's on the ground, she's really come on nicely.
Hey girl.
Hey girl. Cool. Okay.
Let's get back on track. Distracted by the animals.
Okay, so as I said earlier, this is the pepper garden. It's a bit overgrown. At this time of the year, peppers are always a little bit overgrown. But unfortunately, there's not many people to come and pick peppers at the moment. There's a nice bishop's crown eaten by the birds. Cool. Okay, then.
Watch out, Elite.
These beds that you're looking at now are keyhole beds. Come this side.
Yeah.
So we can see the keyhole. So these beds are keyhole gardens, and the whole idea with a keyhole garden is you're able to actually walk into the garden and work around the garden. What we've done over here, this is a tube. We've taken some wire mesh, put some wire mesh into the garden, and it's been wrapped with some shade cloth, and that is a compost heap. So what we do is we start at the bottom of this composting tube. We put a whole lot of vermicompost down at the bottom, and now all we do, we take our kitchen scraps and we dump our kitchen scraps into there, and basically the worms come up.
Shall we look inside of it? I don't know how full it is. Okay.
Yeah, so basically what happens is we take our kitchen scraps and dump it inside there. And if you look at this bed over here, I mean, it's absolutely packed. Here's pak choy over here, there's Swiss chard, there's onions, there's lettuce over here, there's mustards, there's kale, there's coriander, absolutely stunning. And underneath here, we have our compost. I don't know if you can see inside there. So basically what happens is this gets filled up, and literally it gets filled up right to the top, and then the worms eat it down, and we fill it up, and then the worms eat it down. And that's just a very dry bird bath. Okay, so this keyhole garden over here used to be a hugel culture bed, and it was one of those raised hugel culture beds. It didn't really work that well. We had a lot of wind over here, so the wind kept drying out that hugel culture bed. So what we decided was to just turn it into a keyhole garden. This bed over here is also a hugel culture bed, and if you have a look, you can see the wood sticking out. There's wood over here, and you can see how densely packed it is. So the nice thing is you can come to the Livingseeds Veggie Garden or the Livingseeds Show Garden, and you can come and see different ways of growing things. And just to give you ideas, we don't use keyhole gardens on Livingseeds Farm. We don't use hugel culture. We have it in the show garden so that you guys can come and see how it's done and how it actually works. And if you have a look at these beds over here, they're absolutely jam-packed with food, which is really, really stunning. I'm going to ask Nicola to turn around quickly, and you can see all of the row crops that we have.
What shall I?
So yeah, these are all of the row crops that we have. I'm not going to walk you up and down every single one, but this is a bed. It's mainly lettuce. We've got about 30 different kinds of lettuce growing inside the bed, and we run trials with our lettuce at least twice a year to make sure that we can give you good information. If you go onto the Livingseeds website, you'll see almost every single lettuce variety. We have a notification where either it's early bolting, slow bolting, or exceptionally slow bolting. The early bolting lettuce varieties are normally the cooler season lettuce varieties, and they generally are the tastier lettuce varieties. But that's not always the case. As you know, there's always an exception to the rule. This is Black Magic Tatsoi and a cat.
She just loves walking around with us.
Yeah, so here's the different lettuce. That's Giant Caesar. We have Butter Crunch. I don't really think everyone's interested in looking at all the different lettuce varieties.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
You think so?
Just thought I'd do a couple.
Yeah, so the nice thing is you can actually come through the Livingseeds Show Garden and walk down a row of 30 different kinds of lettuce and literally taste every single lettuce and decide which lettuce variety you enjoy. Which is really cool, and that's the whole idea behind the Livingseeds Veggie Garden.
as you can see, when we make a salad, we are spoiled for choice.
We are exceptionally spoiled for choice. Okay, and then I think... Okay, so the big building in the background over there is... that's the big hangar. Our big cool room is inside there.
Eventually going to be our shop.
Yeah, that'll eventually be the shop, which is really cool. Okay, and then even in our show garden, we've got a row of flowers to attract the pollinators. But guys, it's critically important that you plant something for the pollinators, for the predatory insects. A lot of predatory insects don't only eat worms and hojas, etc. A lot of the predatory insects actually need nectar to function. So what happens is, like the wasps, a lot of the wasps will drink nectar for sustenance, and they'll lay eggs into the pests, and the eggs will eat the pest, but the predatory insect actually needs food, and this is how we feed them. So it's very important that you actually make sure that you are catering for your vegetable garden on a environmental scale as well, where you're actually planting vegetables for you to eat, as well as planting flowers for the predatory insects to actually eat as well. And the pollinators, everybody talks about bees being the most important pollinators, and bees really are important pollinators. There's no doubt about that. You see that we have our own beehives, which is important. But what we do as well is we actually ensure that we provide sustenance and lodging for the solitary bees, which are critically important pollinators of vegetables, as well as plants or flowers as well. And one of the things that we do, I did show in the last live video, but one of the things that we do is we have bee hotels, and we use mobile bee hotels, and I'll show you some mobile bee hotels now. And how the mobile bee hotels work is this way. So you'll see there's a whole row of mobile bee hotels over here. So I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so you can see that these bee hotels have been packed, and there's 3 different size holes over here, and we'll see at different times of the year different holes get used. But these holes are packed full by solitary bees, okay? And the solitary bees are very important pollinators. So what we'll do is, I showed you the carrot tunnels a little bit earlier. In spring, when we lock those carrot tunnels up, what we'll do is we'll take one of these bee hotels, or actually 2 bee hotels per tunnel, and we'll put the bee hotel inside the tunnel, okay? And what the bee hotels will do is, as those little bees hatch, those bees will then pollinate the crops inside the tunnel, and we will also release houseflies. So we'll catch houseflies, and we'll release houseflies into those tunnels. The carrots are pollinated by houseflies, and the solitary bees do the rest of the work for us. Cool. So what we are going to do, just turn this radio off. There we go. Oops. We just want to get the picture focused correctly.
Yeah, it just moves too fast.
Just move too fast. Okay, cool. So let's see. I don't know where the comments are.
Bottom right hand corner.
Bottom right hand corner. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. So I'm going to scroll up to the top of the comments over here. Everybody that said hi, how's it? Okay, cool. Megan, yes, please. We'd love you to place orders. Okay, wow, seed heaven. Yes, it is. Okay, will you give some advice on what to plant this time of the year? Megan, absolutely. If you go onto the Livingseeds website, if you look at the top right-hand side of the screen, if you're on a computer, if you look at the top right-hand side of the screen, it'll say plant by month, and you just drop down to April or May and see what you can plant. Have you? Okay, cool. So, love the fact that your family works together. Amazing. Yes, we have an amazing family. Our kids are awesome. They've spent a lot of time in living seeds. Most of the hand pollination gets done by our girls and by the ladies inside the office. So our kids are intimately involved in the business and in the farm, which is really cool. Okay, I'm just scrolling through these questions over here. Is there a reason why you plant in bins instead of the ground with the chilies? Christine, yes. We plant, so we have certain chili varieties that are relatively easy to grow that we'll actually plant directly in the ground. And we'll harvest them at the end of the year when our frost comes. They die back, we replant the next year. With the super hots are a lot more difficult to grow, and they take a lot longer to come into production. So what we do with the super hots is we plant them in those buckets and move them in and out and try and save as many plants over winter as possible. Faiza, it's so helpful. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Okay. Would you advise having a tunnel for all of my vegetables? These plants look amazing. Yes and no. So a tunnel production has its benefits and it has its cons as well. And you would need to decide what crops you want to plant into a tunnel. So we wouldn't grow onions, we wouldn't grow garlic, we wouldn't grow brassicas inside a tunnel. It's just not what we need to do. The main reason why we have tunnels, and bearing in mind, I've said this before, is that our tunnels are designed as pollination prevention or cross-pollination prevention mechanisms. We are not growing in tunnels to grow produce or to grow vegetables. We don't grow vegetables. We grow seed. And there's a whole different mindset to actually growing seed than there is to growing vegetables. So our tunnels are designed specifically around the idea of keeping seed pure, so that when you buy seed from us, you are confident that you're buying the best quality seed. So yes, you can grow vegetables in tunnels, but not all vegetables need to be grown in tunnels. I would, there's a cost versus reward matrix or ratio that you would need to work out. So I wouldn't grow low cost crops. For example, personally, if I had a vegetable garden, I wouldn't grow carrots in a tunnel. I wouldn't grow radish in a tunnel. I wouldn't grow celery in a tunnel. You just don't need to do it. We're growing it in a tunnel, but we are harvesting seed. We're not harvesting radish, carrots, or celery, for example. So you just need to work that out for yourselves. Okay, cool. Sonia, absolute pleasure. Stephen, good morning. How's it? The drip irrigation, it drips straight out of the pipe. Are there no emitters? Okay, Stephen, it is an agricultural drip irrigation. Robert, if you can get me a piece of drip irrigation quickly, and we'll cut it open and show you. Yes, there are emitters inside the drip irrigation. Those emitters will drip at about 1 litre per hour, 0.97 litres per hour under 2 bar pressure. Cool. I don't know how long we've been.
An hour and 10 minutes already.
Is it an hour and 10 minutes already? Okay. I'm being told to hurry this up. Okay.
No, normally it's an hour. So
yes, normally it's an hour. So it's gone quite quickly. Okay, let's see what other questions we have. I have a garlic question. I'm using straw mulch. Do you put it onto the garlic when it's planted or after it started to grow? We'll put it on after it started to grow. So we'll allow the garlic to come out. Just cut it for you, please, Robert. We'll allow the garlic to actually grow out first. Once the garlic has grown out, then we put the mulch down so that we're not suffocating the garlic. The garlic should be able to push through. I don't really see it being an issue. However, there's no reason or we just prefer to put the mulch on afterwards. So this is a black emitter inside here. Normally I can't see.
There's a delay.
Yeah, there is a bit of a delay. There's a delay on my video, so I'm looking at myself over here and there's a bit of a delay. So there's a little black emitter over here.
Yeah, bring it to the camera.
I can bring it closer. There's a little black emitter on the inside of the pipe, and what that emitter does is it slowly releases water out, and the water will drip. If you're using 1.5 to 2 bars pressure, it'll put out about 1 litre per hour. We let that drip irrigation run for about 3 hours. I always struggle to save brassica seeds. I never know when they're ready to be harvested. Any advice that you can give me? On Elena, yes. Okay, brassica seed, what you want to do when you're harvesting brassica seed, you want to be planting your brassica seed in autumn. You want the plant to actually go through winter first, and then you only harvest the brassica seed in spring. And what you'll find is that it'll push a flower spike out and it'll have long pods, and those long pods, as soon as the pod turns tan, you can harvest the seed. Don't wait until the pod splits open. Cool. I wish I had a little pot of land to be able to grow like this. Yes, absolutely. I know we are really blessed. Okay, please advise on how to control aphids on brassicas. Okay, Roz, there's a whole lot of things with the aphids on brassicas. You get two main aphids. You get the cabbage aphid and the false cabbage aphid. The false cabbage aphid makes the brassica leaf curl like this. All of the aphids will transmit viruses. What I would look at doing is I would keep a constant patrol on your brassicas. The minute that you see aphids, start spraying. I would spray with a mixture of pyrrol and nudicin at 50% of the minimum dose, and do that every 7 to 10 days until it's resolved. Unfortunately, there's not much that you can release in the way of beneficial insects over winter, especially if you have frost. If you don't have frost, we do have the Aphidius wasp, which you can release to attack the aphids, but otherwise you are looking at spraying for it. Okay. My radishes don't produce bulbs, only very healthy leaves. How can I mend my soil? Louise, what you're looking at doing is you are looking at putting down the Talborn Organics Vita Grow. It comes in the yellow bag. If you're producing a lot of green leaves on top and no roots at the bottom, that is probably high nitrogen, and the balance 232 of the Vita Grow will help you to produce good root crops. Love how each garden is full of variety. Thank you very much. Keyhole garden idea, fantastic, amazing farm. Fatima, thank you very much. We love our farm. Okay. Christian, it's an absolute pleasure. Okay, can't wait to walk through the gardens. Debbie, you are welcome. The Livingseeds garden is open to the public when it's not locked down. Please don't pitch up here. You will not get a very friendly reception currently. But the Keyhole garden is open every single Friday to the public. You can come in, you can walk. We will have staff on hand to walk you through, show you different things, teach you a couple of different things. What is the mulch called? What should I ask for at my local co-op? Louise, just go and get a couple of straw bales. Simple. Buy a couple of straw bales. If you can phone one of the horse feed companies or agricultural supply companies, they will generally drop bales off at your door for you. You'd need to pay for delivery naturally, but that's the easiest way to get the straw bales to your house. Dina, hi, how's it going? Definitely going for a visit. Absolutely, Vilma, we'd love to see you. Where should the bee hotels be placed? Sunny area or protected shade? We find that the bee hotels do best if they are facing either north or west, where they get a nice warm afternoon sun, or facing north where they get sun most of the day. Okay, what timber do you use for the bee hotels? I don't know, whatever scrap timber we have, we just drill holes into the timber, and I'm not too sure what size holes we used over there. It looks like an 8, a 6 and a...
I think it was 6, 8 and 10.
6, 8 and 10 mil holes. Okay. Yeah, so Jolene, 6, 8 and 10 mil holes. What you do with the bee hotel, just bring me one of those bee hotels, Robert. What you do with the bee hotel is the actual hole in the bee hotel. You don't want to drill the hole directly horizontal or facing slightly down, because what happens there is water can collect inside the hotel. What you want is when you actually drill the holes need to face just ever so slightly up. Okay, and what that ensures is that any moisture inside that hole will actually drain out, and it won't damage these little insect cocoons that are inside here. Cool. Okay. Alexandra, hi, thanks for this inspiring tour. If thrips, bugs has attacked pepper, is it best to cut them off the bush while they're still growing, or can they mature on the bush? Alexandra, the biggest thing with thrips is that they will make your fruit unsightly. There's nothing wrong with the fruit, it's 100% edible. Even if they've transmitted a virus to the plant, the fruit is still edible and it's not going to harm you in any way. Okay, so let's just go down. Okay, how's it, Sean? Thanks so much for a very informative tour. Please advise. I lost that one now. Okay, Linton. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for the very informative tour. Please advise how to keep my home hobby tunnel warm during winter. Linton, I don't know where you live. I don't know what plants you have. I'm presuming maybe you've got pepper plants inside there or tomato plants. Keeping your tunnel warm is incredibly difficult, especially if you only have plastic. We have toyed with the idea of actually putting or making 2 tunnels where we use a 7-meter pole and then a 7.2-meter pole to actually give a little bit of gap or an air gap, and then just having a full plastic on both of those tunnels. We haven't got around to actually playing with that yet, but that might be an idea. The other option is that you actually put a proper greenhouse up, and that greenhouse you would need to be using some kind of heating mechanism. The large commercial farmers actually use coal-fired blowers to blow warm air into the tunnels. There are a number of different ways. You can get paraffin burners that you can use to actually warm the tunnels. You can use gas. We occasionally use gas inside our large tunnel. It's very expensive, and we'll only do it if it's critically important that there are seedlings inside there and we have a very late frost. Otherwise, we don't use gas burners. Okay. When will you be able to sell and courier seedlings again? Roz, I'm not 100% sure. We haven't even started our seedling production yet. We would need to steam up on seedling production. It's probably going to be around the stage 3 or stage 2 level. I don't know when that's going to happen. The problem is the minute it goes from stage 3 back up to stage 4 or stage 5, we can't ship seedlings again. So that's a risk that we would need to have a look at, because we guarantee a live delivery of seedlings. So
we don't have tubes.
yeah. Okay. Lisa Jane, finally ordered my seeds, can't wait. But kale is out of stock. Lisa, I'm terribly sorry. We will find out what's happening with the kale. I know that we do have a fair amount of bulk kale seed. It's probably what's just happened is that the seed that was packed, we've run out of the seed that was packed. So the website says there's no stock available. I will make sure that we have a look at that for you. Okay. Michaela, any tips for getting rid of Bagrada bugs? Yes, there is a nuclear power station called Pelindaba. I'm pretty sure that they'll be able to find some kind of nuclear waste that you can use. Look, Bagrada bugs are a problem, okay? And you would need to be spraying Bagrada bugs with pyrrole and bioneem literally every 7 days. The thing with the pyrrole and the bioneem is that if you come too close to the plant, the Bagrada bugs actually go to the other side of the plant, which is it's a real pain in the backside. But yeah, Bagrada bugs are a problem. They're a major problem.
They are covered in the Pests and Diseases booklet.
Oh yes, we do cover Bagrada bugs in the Pests and Diseases booklet. But one of the things that I would definitely look at doing is spraying bioneem on the growing points of your brassica plants, because that is where the Brigada bugs attack. They actually attack the growing points, and if you spray bioneem on the growing points, the minute the Brigada bugs ingest the bioneem, it stops them feeding, it stops them breeding, and hopefully that will solve your problem. Okay, Natasha, not sure how live videos work. Will we be able to watch it again? Absolutely, it will be on the Livingseeds page, and you'll be able to watch it again. Okay, multiple times. Okay, if my butternut is not completely ripe when the frost hits, will I still be able to save the seeds? Julia, it depends at what stage that the butternut was harvested. What you want to do is harvest your butternut and just keep it one side, allow the plant to actually dry out. Your butternut seed gets its best germination from harvest 3 weeks after harvest. So you wait until the stem is dry, you then harvest your butternut or your pumpkin, and then you wait another 3 weeks. And 3 weeks after that, the seed will actually absorb as much nutrition as possible out of the flesh of the pumpkin or butternut, and that is when you harvest the seed for the best germination. Tips and tricks of a seed saver. Okay. Vickers, hi Sean, what percent of shade net did you use over the veggies, or do you use plastic? Okay, so the plastic that we use, it's called a 180 micron diffused plastic. The netting that we use, the blue netting, is an 80% blue netting. The green netting is I think it's a 30% green. Okay, Sonia, I'm so proud of the Freemans of Livingseeds Farm. You've been as fortunate as neighbors and friends to witness how Livingseeds has evolved. Sonia, you say such nice things about us. Thank you. We don't mind if you go on for 2 hours. Iona, thank you very much. My throat's taking a bit of strain. Sean, heirloom tomatoes in aquaponics, absolutely. Heirloom tomatoes, aquaponics is a really great way of doing of growing your veggies. I've got a lot of time for aquaponics. It's one of the things that we were supposed to have done for April was aquaponics, and then lockdown hit and we just didn't have time to do it. Okay, how deep do you drill the holes for the bee hotel? Stephen, yeah, about that deep. I reckon some of those holes must be about 4 or 5 centimeters deep, maybe. I don't know. Okay, cool. Alexandra, thanks. Absolute pleasure, Alex. Okay, thanks so much for answering my questions. Cool seeing everything. Missed you guys at the Autumn Flower Show next year. Yes, unfortunately, the Autumn Flower Show has been cancelled. But we'll see you guys next year. You know, life hasn't come to an end. It's just lockdown. Guys, I think that's it. I'm going to call it time now. Thank you for joining us. I really hope that you enjoyed the tour of Livingseeds Farm. I really hope that you learned something. Nicola wants to say.
And I just want to say thank you to all of our wonderful customers. You guys have been so understanding with, you know, deliveries have taken a little bit longer. It's taken us a bit longer to respond to emails, etc. And we thank you for your patience, because we know you're desperate to get growing, and our staff has pulled out all the stops to try and get your orders out as fast as possible. And we just thank you for understanding and just for supporting us, because we wouldn't be where we are today without you guys.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, guys, we're now up to date. I think the emails will be up to date today. I know Eloise had about 120 emails left to answer yesterday. So we should be up to date with the emails today. If there's anybody that's missing an order or missing something, the phones are working at the office. The emails should be up to date. So I don't think the orders at Livingseeds email is up to date, because those guys have been running mole. Okay, but I know if you email Eloise, her email address is admin@livingseeds.co.za. If you email her, it'll take 12 to 24 hours to answer your question. Guys, that's it. Thank you very much. And we'll see you around, especially after lockdown. Cool.
See you next time.
Press stop.
Yep.
Excellent, guys.